Hi, Sarah.
Hello. Hi.
Thanks for coming and joining me again today. Appreciate your time and willingness to come back. So I guess before we get into things and kind of talk about how the past few weeks have been, I guess I just kind of want to first go over just a quick recap just to make sure I have all the information correct and you can correct me on anything. So I guess your main reason for coming to see me was just kind of going through a lot of life transition stuff right now, if that's correct.
hmm
I think you said you and your long-term boyfriend had broken up and moved back in with your parents. And remind me how the job situation is looking, if you're looking for a new job or
I am serving and I had worked a full-time corporate job before that. So I quit my job, went back to school full-time, and then I'm serving part-time.
and then what are you in school for again?
Occupational therapy.
Okay, yeah, awesome. And then kind of just friend group, right? Like trying to kind of reinvent that wheel and make some new friends and that type of vibe. Perfect.
Yep.
And struggling with some anxiety, right? Kind of internally, and it's caused you to
Yeah.
kind of isolate yourself and things like that.
hmm
Okay, so I guess just let me know how the past few weeks have gone, if anything's changed, feelings have increased, decreased, or if anything significant has happened, like event-wise, or if things have been the same.
I feel like they've stayed the same pretty much, but I feel like I've been applying myself a little bit more in school, and I do feel like I've gotten better grades on assignments, and that has, gives me a little bit more um, joy for a moment and makes me feel like doing the right thing and that it's all this change has been worth it or will be worth it.
Yeah, well, absolutely. I think when anything positive comes into our life, no matter how big or how small, I think anybody will take, any ounce of positivity that we can get. What do you feel like maybe you've done differently within these past few weeks to maybe help apply yourself more to school? Or do you feel like you haven't been doing anything differently? Do you feel like it's just kind of just happened? Or do you feel like there's something kind of you can pinpoint that has kind of allowed your mind to kind of focus more on school and apply yourself and get good grades?
I feel like I have been working out more, which has always been a really good outlet for me. And I think it helps me get out of my head so that when I have that clarity, I don't have the weight of everything that's changed, I can just do what I'm supposed to do
Mhm.
and not have anything interrupt that.
Yeah,
So I think that's why I'm seeing the improvement in my grade
yeah,
and even maybe an improvement in my mood some
yeah.
days.
No, absolutely. Well, I mean, there is a science behind that, right? Like when we exercise, our body releases endorphins, and endorphins make
hmm
us feel good, and they help all those things. So, I mean, exercise is one of the main things that I recommend to people when they're anxious or depressed or kind of just feeling anything. I think it's a great
hmm
thing, and it doesn't have to be hardcore doing the Stairmaster on level 15 for every day, or running crazy on the treadmill. It can just be going outside and taking a nice walk, or
hmm
um, you know literally anything that makes you feel good is what's important. So however that looks to you, so that's something I would just encourage you to do to keep up, over the next few weeks until we meet again, is to continue that and keep record of it, you know what I mean? If certain activities make you feel better than others, then I would encourage you to keep with those things and steer away from others that don't make you feel as good. So that's great, and I'm glad that you found a coping mechanism. I mean, a lot of my job too is to give you skills and practical methods that you can use on a day-to-day basis to help you cope with your feelings, to manage when things come up, to kind of guide you out of that negative headspace. So exercise, like I said, is one that I always recommend, but that's great that you've kind of just been doing it on your own, finding that it works for you. Um, and I would just encourage you not to overdo it though, too. I think it can be when we sometimes get into this, you know, like we can fall down a rabbit hole quick of, getting into like over exercising or things like that. So just rest is also just as important for your body, taking time to rest and decompress and relax that way. So I would just encourage you to be mindful of that. Um, on the relationship front, how are things like looking? Have you talked to your ex at all, or there's just like no contact, or how are you feeling just in general about kind of moving forward with that, or
We've texted back and forth a little bit, just kind of checking in to see how each of us are doing. And it hasn't really, I mean, I think it makes me sad, but it hasn't really changed my feelings about the breakup. And maybe someday, we can get back together, because it was really solid there. And I think it could have been really healthy had we moved past our differences. Um, but it could also be that we're just two separate people with, no future together. But, there was real love. So, um, but as of like wanting to date anybody, that is not anything that I want to do anytime soon.
and I think that's a really healthy mindset to have. Like, I wouldn't encourage you to go and do that. I think
Mhm.
this chapter of your life right now that I was talking about a couple weeks ago is about finding you, finding who you are, what makes you happy, what are your interests, what are your passions. Like I said, like, don't look at it as, oh, I'm so behind in life. I had to move home and I had to start over. Like, no, like you're starting a new chapter of your life, which is great. You can completely reinvent yourself. You can find out what you don't like, what you do like, you can be picky in your next relationship and you know what I mean, and kind of just and not settle for things, which is like really important characteristic to have. So I think you have a really healthy mindset on that, which is great.
Thank you.
Um, how's the overall like anxiety been with the different thoughts? And I know we had some anxious feelings and kind of mind self-isolate and things like that. How have things been
Mhm.
with that the past few weeks?
Um, it ups and downs. It just really depends on the day. If I'm feeling really anxious, I'll run, I'll work out, whatever, and that does improve like the symptoms. My symptom, they feel very physical.
Mm-hmm.
Upset stomach, I get really shaky, fast heartbeat, um, and my brain just cycles through every thought. So, and like it becomes like my breathing, I feel like becomes hitched, and so honestly, like I don't know, it's been okay.
So, if it's okay with you, I'd like to do a quick assessment for anxiety on you. It's called the GAD-7, just an assessment that we use to kind of just assess how your anxiety is and kind of helps just me to get a good indication of where you fall in that. And then next week we can start talking about like a treatment plan. So kind of what your goals are out of therapy and kind of, it I would love to sit here and say like by the end of this, like your anxiety is going to be gone and I don't think that's the case for anybody. It's something
Mhm,
that I think as humans, like it's always I don't want to say it's always going to be there, but we just know that we have things that are going to trigger it and we're going to come across different points in our lives where it's going to be harder to handle than others. And my job is to really just give you those tactics and tools that you can use to kind of just help yourself through it. But would it be okay if I did this assessment with you quick?
mhm.
Okay. So you're going to rate things on a scale from 0 to 3. 0 is not at all, 1 is several days, 2 is more than half the days, and then 3 is nearly every day. Okay. So first question is, how often have you been bothered over the last 2 weeks? So the first one is feeling nervous, anxious, or on edge.
2,
Okay. Not being able to stop worry or control worrying.
2,
Okay. Worrying too much about different things.
2,
Okay. Trouble relaxing.
2,
Being so restless that it's hard for you to sit still.
1,
Okay. Becoming easily annoyed or irritable.
1,
Okay. And then the last one is feeling afraid as if something awful might happen.
2.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Pretty simple. But like I said, it kind of just helps me to kind of gauge where we are in things and kind of just more of a clinical sense for me to kind of gauge where the anxiety is at versus just talking to you. So um appreciate that. So next week, basically, what we will do is we will come up with a treatment plan. So how that will look is we will go through. I don't just want it to be me telling you, here, these are the things that you do, and it's going to help your anxiety, but it's going to be a teamwork effort. So, over the next couple weeks, kind of until we see each other again, what I'd like you to do is just um, kind of think of some things that help you. So I know exercise is one of them, but kind of just keep track of different like sleep routines, or kind of what you're eating, or kind of just things how things have looked on a day-to-day basis, and how that's either like helped your thoughts or not helped your thoughts, and kind of keep a record of them. So I'd encourage you to get like a little notebook and kind of each day write things down. So on a scale from like 0 to 5, how bad was your anxiety? I would do it at the end of the day and then maybe write out like how your day was. Like, I exercised, I ate really well, and I got a full 10 hours of sleep or whatever, and my anxiety was nowhere to be found. Or,
Mhm.
the next day, kind of if different triggers happened and how that looked and how you cope with them. And I think that'll give me and you a good indication of what are some triggers for you, what are things that help, and what are things that are not helpful. And we'll kind of work through those things together to kind of give you a set in stone more plan about different things that are going to be helpful for you to manage everything.
Okay.
Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Do you have any other questions or concerns for me before we meet next time?
No, I think good.
Okay, sounds good. Well, thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next time.
Yes.